The following podcast contains opinion and commentary protected by the First Amendment and fair use. It may also contain adult themes, adult concepts, and adult language not suitable for children. Viewer discretion is advised.
Shall take and finger scan, bond is set, now that's the plan. In a court when she will sit, felony charges aren't your shit. Rachel Mitchell has your name, you have no one else to blame. The game is set, the die is cast, pregnancy fakers just won't last. Forging tests and faking docs, soon she'll be wearing prison Crocs. You've got nowhere else to hide, justice this time will be denied. No appeal will save your ass, you've got no tissue left to pass. The game is set, the die is cast, pregnancy fakers just won't last. Forging tests and faking docs, so she'll be wearing prison Crocs. You've got nowhere else to hide, justice this time won't be denied. No appeal will save your ass, you've got no tissue left to pass. Justice for Clayton, Mike and Greg, and other than that she's misled. Protection orders gotta go from the moon, but where he home.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to your favorite cubbyhole on the internet. We are after the Memorial Holiday weekend, and we have returned with more news of Laura Michelle Owens, indicted felon, daughter of Ronn Owens and Jan Black. We have police report documents, that's right, which dropped on the JFC Reddit but hours ago, within the last few hours, and has since been covered by other podcasters already. We are following suit in this discussion of breaking news. That is right, we have breaking news. And I'll have to say, you're going to have to use just a little bit of imagination for right now, because we don't yet have the body cam footage, and before I go any further, I will go on record as saying I will be happy to support any financial endeavor to get the $600 worth of body cam footage of the raid and serving the warrant on the Owens compound in Casita. You can count on me to put my 2 cents where my mouth is, right here. I think everyone deserves a little bit of footage to go along with all these words that we will be reading in but a moment. The antics of Laura can only be best seen, I believe, in full color glory as seen on a body cam. Every officer was wearing a body cam at the serving of this warrant by Rachel Mitchell and the Maricopa County Attorney's Office, and we and you have the right to see it. She's such an actor. No, I think she's a terrible actor. She's just a spoiled bitch who hasn't been spanked in her life. And now the law is putting up those guardrails where there should have been training wheels from her parents, but that never happened. I digress. I digress. Let's get right into the documents because they're so juicy. But again, you are going to have to use your imagination. But if you have been following this channel for any little bit of time, any great length of time, you can imagine the casita just a little bit. The horse area off to the side, sort of behind the house, the casita next to the pool behind the house. You can probably envision all of this as it unfolds. And if not, go back and watch some of my body cam discussion videos where we talk about Mother Owens and some of my theories about her. There's just a little bit to read here, so let's just dive right in. Although, I'm thinking, this is so fresh. I'm thinking retrospectively again, knowing that this took place on January 29th at about 6 o'clock in the morning. Very early. It was not April as some of us had first assumed or presumed. This happened just barely into the new year. So as you're imagining the image of police going to the front door of the Owens compound, and yet again, Mother Owens answering the door herself, Laura hiding in back, people being gathered in the front room of the house, going through the casita, and so forth. All right, have we set the stage? Have we set the stage enough? Do you have candles burning? Do you have incense to get yourself in the mood for this reading? We start with the very first report that comes from Officer Fulp. There's several. Now, I suspect we won't see all of the body cam footage if and or when it happens because this scene was secured by Scottsdale Police and then turned over to the investigators for the Maricopa County Attorney's Office. So there could be quite a bit of footage, assuming they were wearing body cameras while enacting the search warrant and collecting of devices and whatever else they so saw fit to take under their warrant. That's a lot of stuff to look at. Okay, let's read the narrative. On 1/29/2025, I was working in my capacity as a Special Assignments Unit detective. On this day, SAU was tasked with the assistance with the search warrant from the Maricopa County Attorney's Office. Search warrant, blah, blah, blah. It's there. You can read it. Signed by Honorable Tara Prochko, was for the property and evidence at the residence compound address. MCAO provided a search warrant brief that explained a subject identified as Laura Michelle Owens was residing at a home located in the rear of the Owens compound. MCAO detectives further explained that there was probable cause for Miss Owens' arrest, there's no missing apostrophe there, for perjury, tampering with evidence, and theft by extortion. Ooh, theft by extortion. That wasn't quite in the charging documents, but I love that phrasing. It should be noted that although there was probable cause to arrest Miss Owens, SAU was simply tasked with securing the location and briefly detaining Miss Owens so MCAO law enforcement officers could conduct a search of the listed residence for evidence. So there we are. It was turned over after the scene was secured. At 0600 hours, I attended a search warrant brief. In the brief, it was noted that Miss Owens' two elderly parents were residing in the main house, and Miss Owens was residing in the casita located in the backyard of the property. It should be noted that all SAU detectives, including myself, wore standard-issue gray SAU uniforms with police tactical vests, displaying police lettering on the front and back. I was also equipped with an activated on-body camera that captured my involvement in this incident. The following SAU detectives were involved in this search warrant: Detective Buckner, Detective Patton, Detective Smealer, Detective Sergeant Goodson, Detective Silva, Detective Swan, Detective Craun, Detective Gomez, Detective Sylvester, Detective Sergeant Blasco, and Detective Lakowski. I arrived on scene via my semi-marked police vehicle at approximately 6:45 hours. I was the third operator within the entry team of the main house. At approximately 06:47 hours, Detective Buckner provided multiple knock and announce commands. After multiple rounds of the knock and announce commands, Miss Owens' mother reluctantly answered the door. It must have been early and we were still in bed, eh? At approximately 06:50 hours, I assisted with the entry and clear of the main structure. It should be noted that during the clear, I did not break anything or come into direct contact with any individuals. Are there accusations of breaking things already? I don't doubt it by the Owens family. Once the main structure was cleared, I heard SU detectives come into contact with Miss Owens and the back casita, and she was refusing to exit. Upon hearing this, I exited the main structure and walked to the casita where I assisted with securing the outside of the structure. SAU detectives eventually were able to coerce Miss Owens out of the casita, and I observed Detective Craun escort Miss Owens into the main structure. As Miss Owens was being escorted, she continued to complain about the police presence and state she was being unreasonably assaulted by police. Dum, dum, dum. I need some buttons. God, I'm not prepared for this. From my vantage point, I did not see Detective Craun forcibly escort Miss Owens into the structure, nor did I see Detective Craun use any force despite allegations from Miss Owens. I'll bet she alleged all kinds of things. I don't doubt it at all. She's probably going to claim that someone knocked her up too, just by touching her. I mean, if a blowjob can do it, why can't just sort of dragging her out by her arms from her casita, for which she was barricading herself? And can you imagine? Can you imagine this woman? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. We've seen her antics. I can hardly wait to see the video of this. It will be like a Monday Disney movie, but far more exciting. At approximately 06:55, the residence was secure for MCAO detectives and the scene was turned over to them. And that concludes this officer's matter. Next, we have reports. More reports. Oh, there's so many reports. Next report from Detective Buckner. On 1/29/25, I was acting in the capacity of detective in the Special Assignments Unit, SAU, when I attended a briefing at approximately 600 hours in reference to a residential search warrant. SAU was requested by the Maricopa County Attorney's Office to serve the search warrant in reference to a perjury, tampering with evidence, and theft by extortion and investigation. There's another one that says theft by extortion. Ooh. The suspect in this case was identified as Laura Owens, who resided at the Owens compound with her elderly parents Jan and Ronn. Information was that Laura stayed in a casita located in the back of the residence. After attending the briefing, I drove my unmarked police vehicle to the above listed address. You know, I was just thinking back to the videos of Mama Owens wanting to see the police officers' cars. And it makes one wonder how many times police visit their house in marked and unmarked vehicles. I was dressed in my gray and black uniform with ballistic vest displaying police on the front and back and equipped with body-worn camera. At approximately 0647 hours, I approached the front door along with the other members of SAU, ringing the Ring camera doorbell and knocking loudly, announcing, "Police search warrant, open the door." Ooh. I repeated this multiple times, giving the names of the occupants inside to open the door. A very short time later, I heard a female voice from inside asking who it was. "Who is it?" says Mother Owens, as if she couldn't tell. Again, I identified myself, telling her to look at the camera to verify it was the police. After a short verbal exchange through the door, an elderly female opened the door at approximately 0649 hours, whom I believed to be Jan. She indicated that she was inside with her husband Ronn, and that Laura was in the back casita. "We're not the ones you're looking for. She's back behind the house." Oh, we need this footage. We need it badly. We entered the residence, and I gave loud announcements to Ronn that it was police. "Ronn Owens, Scottsdale Police." And we had a search warrant. "We're search warrant." I could hear a voice from my back bedroom and proceeded to the room, turning on lights as I went. Inside of the room, I observed Ronn sitting in bed. Ronn appeared frail and explained that he had cancer. Well, we don't doubt it. Supposedly at least 4 times, but we're not sure if that count is accurate. But we know he is in quite ill health. His days are probably numbered, as all of ours are, but his a little sooner than the rest of us, I would assume, based on his rather... in one of the other videos of... seemed the Facebook video of, "It's me," he was looking rather frail. Parkinson's does a number on you, as does cancer, and having more than one thing together is quite a way to go. Okay, anyhow. While speaking to Ronn, I heard over the radio that SAU personnel were in contact with Laura in the casita, but she initially refused to come out. I'll bet she did. She was probably like a sovereign citizen. You can't tell me what to do. You aren't the real police. I'm not doing anything. I'm going to call my lawyer. I'll bet. After a few minutes, she exited and was escorted inside into the living room. Ronn also requested to go into the living room with his wife. I assisted Ronn in getting him dressed and providing his walker. He was assisted into the living room where he sat in a chair. The scene was turned over to the investigators, and this person had no further involvement. From Detective Swan. On 1/29/25 at approximately 600 hours, I was working as a detective with the Scottsdale Police Department Special Assignments Unit and wearing our issued gray uniform and issued gray plate carriers with police on the front and Special Assignments Unit on the back. I was driving an unmarked vehicle equipped with red and blue emergency lights and a siren. I attended a search warrant briefing with the Maricopa County's Attorney's Office and the other members of SAU. I learned that SAU was asked to assist in the service of a search warrant on the residents of the Owens compound. The residence consisted of a main house and casita on a large property. There was probable cause for the arrest of Laura Owens, who lived in the casita located just north of the main house, but MCAO requested not to physically arrest Laura. And one wonders why. Is it because she was not a violent offender? This was white-collar crime? Kid gloves for someone who's done so much, really. Other people get arrested and put in handcuffs and hauled off to jail just for hiding out in their car saying, I'm not going to identify myself or go with the police. We see that in sovereign citizen things all the time. But Laura didn't get her shiny bracelets just yet, I guess. Oh, we'll live. Laura's parents, Ronn and Jan, lived in the main house. After the briefing, I drove to the residence with the other members of SAU and arrived on the property at approximately 06:47 hours. Detectives knocked on the door, identified ourselves as police, and advised we were there for a search warrant. An elderly female answered the door after some hesitation and questions. Are you really police? Can I see your cars? I can't see your police cars. Where are they? I need to see your police cars or you're not really the police. We've seen that already from Mother Owens. This is starting to feel rather familiar, isn't it? We made entry into the residence at approximately 06:55 hours. I checked the garage and garage closet and did not locate any other person. I exited the main house's rear sliding glass door and walked to the casita where SAU detectives were conversing with a female inside the casita. The female was identified as Laura Owens. I have this highlighted for a reason, folks. Laura was arguing with detectives behind a slightly open sliding glass door. She had her door cracked open and she was yelling through the crack of the door. Oh, she might as well have been in her car pulled over yelling through the crack of the window like a sovereign citizen. She's not far from. She could be their spokeswoman. My God. Laura refused to comply with commands and stated she was calling Dingus the douche canoe.
The fucking douche canoe.
Oh my God. And knowing this happened months before he went on with Rachel Juarez and Reality Steve, how did he not fumble over himself even more, keeping that secret that she had already been raided? That's extraordinary. I mean, he sort of bumbled it up when he admitted that Rachel Mitchell was going all over the place subpoenaing everything. Apparently, I think was about what he said. Laura refused to comply with commands and stated she was calling her lawyer. Laura shut the door, locked it, and then walked to her bed. Oh my fucking God. She was resisting. That's resisting, folks. That's obstruction. That's obstruction and resisting. They should have hauled her away. My opinion. I left the area to obtain breaching tools. Oh God, wouldn't that would have been glorious to have watched them smash in the glass door and haul her bitch ass out of there. Oh my God, that would have been amazing to see. Sadly, it didn't happen. Not quite. Close. Dangerously close. The video for this will be absolutely juicy. As I walked back to the casita, presumably with tools, Laura had complied with commands and SAU detectives escorted her into the main house. That's a pity. We don't get to see any glass smashing. Bummer. I made entry into the casita and checked the living area and found no additional people. The main house and casita was deemed clear. I then walked around the side of the house and off property. This incident was recorded on my Axon body-worn camera and the video was uploaded to evidence.com. From Detective Silva. On 1/29/25, I was working in my capacity as SAU detective. SAU was tasked with assisting the attorney's office with the search warrant. There's the number of the search warrant, located at the compound of the Owens family. We'll just say the Owens compound. was wearing the regulation gray uniform with a tactical vest bearing police on the front and back, and operating my department-issued Axon body-worn camera. During a brief, MCAO explained that a subject identified as Laura Michelle Owens was residing in a casita located in the property of the Owens compound. MCAO detectives further explained that there was probable cause for Owens' arrest for perjury, tampering with evidence, and theft by extortion. Another one that says theft by extortion. Ooh. It should be noted that although there was probable cause to arrest Owens, SAU was simply tasked with securing the location and briefly detaining Owens so MCAO law enforcement officers could conduct a search of the listed residence for evidence. At approximately 0645 hours, I drove my unmarked vehicle to the address listed above. I exited my vehicle and approached the residence on foot. I was tasked with covering a gate located on the north side of the property while other SAU detectives knocked on the front door. Were we expecting that someone might have fled, I wonder? They were very well prepared. I remained by the north side gate while SAU detectives entered the residence. Shortly after, I entered the residence to assist with the clearing of the residence. Lastly, other SAU detectives made contact with Owens in the casita located in the backyard. I was able to hear via radio that Owens was refusing to exit the casita. I have to call my lawyer. I have to call Dingus.
The fucking douche canoe.
After a few minutes, Owens called her attorney and shortly after came out of the casita.
David, the police are breaking in. They're assaulting me. What should I do?
Owens called her attorney and shortly after came out of the casita. Owens was escorted into the main residence living room. It should be noted that Owens was erratic the entire time by claiming we were not the real police.
You're not the real police. They would never do this to me. I'm Laura Michelle Owens. My father is legendary radio star Ron Owens. My mother is famous award-winning journalist Jan Black. You can't do this to me. I can't be arrested. I did nothing wrong.
She also complained how early it was, and lastly state she was being unreasonably assaulted by police.
You're assaulting me. You don't touch me. You're pointing your guns at me.
From my point of view, I did not observe Detective Craun, who escorted Owens inside with no handcuffs, forcibly escort Owens into the structure, nor did I see Detective Craun use any force despite allegations from Owens. The scene was turned over to investigators from NCAO, and I had no further involvement. So it would seem Laura was being a hysterical bitch. Why doesn't that surprise me at all? Oh, those poor officers. Just imagine the video footage of her screaming and ranting and raving and shouting that it's too early and that they're assaulting her and how dare they and all sorts of things. Can you imagine how delightful that will be to see? The next report comes from Detective Craun. On 1/29/25 at approximately 6:30 hours while working as a detective on the SAU wearing full regulation SPD uniform, I was requested to assist MCSO in serving a search warrant at the Owens compound. I was advised that the suspect of the MCSO case, later identified as Laura Owens, was living in a backyard casita on the property. I was also advised that though probable cause existed for arrest, MCSO's priority was not to apprehend her but was to search the property for evidence. That's a pity. Can't they do both? Upon arrival, I assisted other detectives as they made contact with Laura at the sliding glass door to the casita. Laura had locked the security screen door and was refusing to exit after detectives had identified themselves as police and stated that they were in possession of a search warrant for the property. Ooh, she wasn't expecting them to show up on her doorstep, was she? Oh, she didn't get a chance to burn all of her devices and hide everything, did she? Oh, poor thing. Laura appeared very upset and began stating multiple times that our weapons were drawn at her. It should be noted that at no time did I point a weapon at Laura. My city-issued handgun remained holstered at all times, and my city-issued rifle remained slung and safely pointed at the ground. Ooh, they came loaded for bear, so they didn't have just their handguns. They also had their rifles. Wow. They must have been expecting some things. It is also important to note that I did not observe any other detective point any weapon at Laura. After arguing with detectives for some time and continuing to refuse to exit the building, Laura contacted her attorney via phone who advised her to cooperate with police orders. Well, that might be the smartest thing that Dingus the douche canoe ever did.
The fucking douche canoe.
Oh, otherwise there'd be even more juicy, delicious stuff. to look at on the body cam footage. We'll give him half a star for that, but only half. I know Dingus the Kadoosh Canoe has tweeted earlier today, and we'll talk about that in but a moment. Laura then opened the security screen door, but still refused to exit until I took a hold of her right wrist and escorted her out. I then escorted her into the primary residence, where I had been instructed to take her to the front room to wait with her parents as the search was being conducted. I escorted her in the escort position, with my right hand around her right wrist and my left hand on the back of her right tricep. I'll bet she was a little bit feisty, don't you think? He was behind her, one hand on the other, and the other hand on the other. Oh, this part's good. Due to her erratic behavior and initial refusal to comply with police commands, I continued escorting her in this position to ensure her safety and mine. I'll bet she was struggling a little bit, wasn't she? Feisty little wench. As I was escorting her through the house to the front room, we passed the room that her handicapped father was in. Another detective was in the room with her father to assist him to the front room. As we passed the open door to the room, Laura became very irate, shouting that,
My father can't walk and he's handicapped. How dare you do this to me? How dare you try to get him to move? How dare you do anything to me or him or the rest of my family? I did nothing wrong. Clayton Echard made me pregnant. I've got the medical evidence to prove it. Would you like a password to my patient portal?
Fake Laura stopped interrupting. As another detective and I attempted to explain to her that a detective was there to assist her father, she continued to shout over us and attempted to pull away from me. That's resisting, and that's obstructing. She should have been put in handcuffs. Like any other criminal. Why is she being treated with kid gloves? I advised Laura that if she did not cooperate, she would be placed in handcuffs. Well, she should have been. Laura continued to shout at me and began stating that I was hurting her and I was going to leave bruises on her arm.
You're leaving bruises on my arm. Let me go this instant. I'm Laura Michelle Owens. My father's famous and so is my mother. Let me go.
It should be noted that I applied very little, if any, pressure to her arm as I was escorting her, as can be seen on my BWC footage. I applied only the needed amount of pressure to keep her from pulling away from me. After arguing with me for a short time, Laura then walked to the front room where she joined her mother. I then exited the residence. This concludes their involvement. And last, but not least, from Detective Sylvester. On 1/29/25, I was working in my capacity as a detective with the SAU when we were requested to assist in executing a search warrant at the Owens compound. MCAO detectives provided a search warrant brief explaining a female, identified as Laura Michelle Owens, was residing in a detached living quarters within the property, and her parents, Jan and Ronn, lived in the main structure. MCAO detectives further explained that there was probable cause for Laura Owens' arrest. Following the briefing, I drove my unmarked vehicle to the above-listed address. I was dressed in my issued gray uniform with ballistic vest, displaying police on front and back, fully visible Scottsdale Police badge, and wearing SPD-issued body-worn camera. I was assigned to secure the rear of the property along with other SAU detectives, and after several search warrant announcements were made, my element entered the rear of the property through a side gate. Once inside the back property, I observed the detached living quarters and saw a female inside, later confirmed to be Laura Owens inside. Was she awake already? Ooh. SAU detectives and I approached the living quarters, announcing our presence as Scottsdale Police, and contacted Laura. We explained to Laura we had a search warrant for the property and directed her to exit the living quarters. Laura appeared upset, locked her door, and stated she wanted to call her lawyer. Oh my God. Laura then made a phone call and opened the door, at which time she was escorted out of the residence by Detective Craun and myself. Detective Craun then escorted Laura into the residence where her parents were waiting with MCAO detectives. While being escorted, Laura presented erratic behavior, yelling at Detective Craun, saying he was assaulting her. However, at no point did I observe Detective Craun use force on Laura. What a histrionic bitch. What an absolute out-of-control cunt. She should have been put in handcuffs. They should have hauled her away. They could have let mom and dad just sort of hang out there, I suppose, since they weren't putting up a fight. But Laura, obviously, with something to hide, was behaving like a raving lunatic. And they should have taken her away. And they should have charged her with resisting and obstructing. They gave her a chance. They were very generous. Police tend to be very generous before they arrest people in situations like this. But she would have deserved it. After everything she's put everyone else through, she would have deserved being drug away in handcuffs. Once Laura was in the front living room with her mother, she was handed over to the detectives and exited the residence. And that concludes the narration for all of the police reports of the attending police officers for the execution of the search warrant and raid on the Owens compound and Laura Owens' casita. Alrighty, so there you have it, folks. There's the written version of what happened that fateful day, January 29th of 2025, several months ago, and what took place, and the absolute raving, nightmarish behavior of indicted felon Laura Michelle Owens. I look forward to seeing the video. And again, I will put my money where my mouth is, and I will throw some shekels towards getting that body cam footage. So whoever starts that GoFundMe or Give, Send, Go, you will definitely see a contribution from us because we want to see it. We want to have it on this channel, and we want to talk about it and share it with everybody else, as I'm certain everyone else wants to see too. So there we have it. I hope your imagination was vividly painted as mine was. I can't wait to see the video. And again, we're happy to put our money where our mouth is and throw some shekels towards getting the body cam footage of all of this crazy, crazy thing. Can you imagine the scene? I can picture it. The words help. The words help, and we can imagine the sort of absolute raving tyrant and out-of-control maniac that Laura was. We can see it quite a bit, and I'll bet that was quite a day. I think that's enough. Let's not belabor the point. We're working on some more stuff. I've got more stuff to talk about with Laura Owens, and I've got more stuff to talk about with Mama Owens, with Mother Owens, and even some of my thoughts of, as far as I'm aware, the first psychic medium to enter into this case discussion, Robin Richardson, who has started talking about this case from a psychic perspective, which is very entertaining. Now, I have certain opinions about that form of, if you want to call it a faith practice, that's fine. It's very interesting. But the other perspectives are certainly worth adding to this conversation, and it's interesting. And I hope that at some point Megan Fox will have Robin Richardson on her channel, and they can do a live reading about this whole crazy rigmarole that soon we hope to see some video footage of. Laura's arraignment is coming in but a couple scant days, and we hope sometime soon, whether it takes a lot of money or whatever happens, we will get more body camera footage of the raid and the serving of the warrant on Laura's house. So until next time, which could be any day now at the rate this case is going, it could be tomorrow for all we know. Stay tuned and enjoy the rest of your evening.
Why do we have to, every time Rachel says something, you're just like, oh, you're not listening. It's just I don't get it. She is listening. She's listening to every word you say. And she's presenting something, and then you come back and shake your head and sigh.
Okay. Anyway.
Submit to an interview.
Wow. Stop. Well, if you let me. We're moving on to the next question. We're not gonna get very far with that. So
they can prove that this is not the first time she's done it. But even if you disagree with me,
I felt like I was juggling a flaming chainsaw while having my leg bitten by a German Shepherd. Okay. All right. We're moving on to the next question.
what lawyer ever says that?
Well, you're welcome that I gave you that's such an easy way to roast me.
You know it's a possibility you might not win something. We're talking about the appeal.
There's no chance you lost this appeal.
Yeah.
You will have this.
Rachel, here can I offer you like a cookie or something? What do you want me to say? What do you want me to say?
Not that. In our case, we like our case.
I shouldn't have said that. Can we move on? Okay.
Yeah.
Pull it up. These statutes were invoked.
Yeah. Okay. Hang on. You're getting. Okay.
But show me a case that says that, because your cases don't. I've read them all now. Just give me a quote from Holgate. Just give me a quote from Holgate.
Can you hang on? Can you hang on for just a second here? Okay. Lord. Okay. You are pretending. Wait. If you want me to stay on this, you need to let me have fair opportunity to answer, okay?
David, of 58 minutes, you've probably talked for 42 of them. I mean, come on, man.
Okay, guys.
Hold on.
Let me...
I got the
Rachel.
case there.
Oh,
There's
God.
only the Rule 11. Hold on. There's other authority. What was at issue in that case?
We gotta move on. We gotta move on from that.
So, is the whole point. tried to withdraw it. There were other issues before the court.
Oh, for God's sake. Okay, Steve, can we move on? Because we're not going to get...
And then you come back and shake your head and sigh.
I know,
He
but...
doesn't have any authority to infringe his copyright or whatever, that I interfered with his...
But way before my time, way before I was there.
Way before you're there. Where are these children?
Okay, you ready?
Where are they, David? This is the one thing that I think everybody wants to know.
Okay.
She's still 6 months pregnant. Can I show my belly? How would she have a belly in November if she miscarried in July or August?
Look.
It's still not appropriate for her to include that finding of fact. Where are the people? There were reasons that her findings would have been inadmissible.
My Lord. Steve. Oh my God.
And then Rachel gets 5 to 10 seconds before you sigh.
Read the emails with Clayton, the emails with Greg, the text messages with Mike, 5 that it is, but something that purports to be.
Whatever.
If you would have won, I mean, obviously, if you would have won, you would have gloated too.
Here, sign something saying that you raped me, that Laura was pregnant. I don't know what that would be. I mean, she's been running around subpoenaing things, apparently.